Very often, the most difficult part of getting the help that you need is admitting that you need help. Back in 2021, the therapist that I was seeing at the time and I had a parting of the ways because she was having a career change where she decided she was going to write full time. By that point, I had reached a bit of an impasse and I wasn't really sure how much farther I could go with therapy, so I didn't really look to finding a replacement therapist. Some time passed and there were some issues that came up in my life that I managed to power through. The big one being the massive agoraphobia that I had developed over the COVID lockdown. If you watched my 2020 Vlogtober vlogs, you may have seen the beginnings of that agoraphobia developing, and it just got worse over lockdown to the point that when I had to start going back to the office and going back to work, I was having panic attacks. But over time and bearing through it, I was able to start to feel better. But then a friend of mine had a play that I went to see, and we were still masking at that point, and the agoraphobia came back in spades. I mean, my heart was just racing all the way through. But I was able to knuckle down and get through the play, and eventually I was able to go out in public until I had to travel, and then having to stay in a hotel, the panic attacks would come back just as bad as they ever did. But like before, I bared down and managed to get through it, and so at this point, I don't have an awful lot of panic attacks at all, regardless of how far I've traveled. But something happened to me rather recently where I realized that there was a certain behavior that I was displaying that was very self-destructive. And I knew that to be able to fix that problem, I wasn't going to be able to do it alone. And so it was time for me to find another therapist. Fortunately, I was able to. Somebody that I'm still seeing, and somebody, in fact, I'm getting ready to talk to tonight. She's been a huge help to me, and not only have I been able to realize certain behaviors that I've been doing that have not served me very well, and have been, in many cases, self-destructive, but I've learned a great deal about myself, more than I expected. And because of that, I've been able to make a lot of positive changes in my life. Changes that I never even thought I needed to make. But none of that would have been possible without my therapist's help. And I'm glad that I have an advocate like that in my corner who's been able to lead me along a path of healing in ways that I never suspected or thought that I even needed. And without her help, I can't imagine where I'd be right now, except that I'd be stuck in the same rut I've always been in, and that we all get stuck in until we're willing to seek out the help that we need.